Hey, everybody. What's going on? How are you all doing out there, all you wonderful people? Uh, man. Wow. What a morning I've had. I've been to the market already. I went and ate breakfast at Killer Shrimp. It's a beautiful world out there. So, what are we all doing here today? I don't know. A lot of great questions. Oh, I'm so glad I got a positive response to my guitar thing. Because you got to understand, that's like when you're just fooling around. You know what I really, sorry. I had French toast with bananas. It was yummy. Um, you know, the thing I really like about that song, I played for 17 minutes and I didn't drop one note. Like usually when I'm doing all those little runs and playing the guitar stuff or anything for that matter, in 17 minutes you got to drop a note or two. But that was miraculous. I played the whole 17 minutes and didn't drop a note. Now when I say drop a note, I mean I didn't make any boo-boos, you know. Here we are. The ceremonial blow your nose. Yeah, so that's what I liked about that thing was I didn't make any boo-boos. And somebody asked me again, where do you find the guitar song? You go to my podcast channel, you go to the homepage of it, click on it, and there you see the little sign that says videos. Press the sign that says videos. You'll see a group picture of the Mesa Boogie event. Group picture, the only group picture there. Just click on that. There's a guitar song. It's that simple. But anyway, I liked it because I didn't drop a note. Man, I was so proud of myself, and I kept going and going, fuck, I haven't dropped a note. And the whole time I was playing, I was thinking, man, I can't believe it. I am not dropping a note. I kept going and kept going and kept going. And yeah, and I said yesterday how cool that keyboard is because when I changed to the piano sound, I know I said this yesterday, but when I changed to the piano sound, if you hold the note down when you change, the sound won't change till you release the note. That's one of the coolest things. They incorporated that into that keyboard, and that's one of the coolest things ever on a keyboard. I love it, man. You can change the sounds, and it doesn't sound like a glitch. But you can hear there's a little section right before I change to the piano sound where I'm not thinking like a guitar, and you can hear it clearly. It sounds like a keyboard playing. Even though it's a guitar sound, you got to really think like a guitar when you play those sounds. Anyway, I was so thrilled about that you guys liked it. And the singing was like secondary. I mean, I was paying attention to my guitar playing, totally thinking about sounding like a guitar, So like I was sort of singing was sort of an afterthought. Yeah, if I would have sang words and told a story or something, the guitar would have gone out the window. You can't do that many things at once. Anyway, so I just played and sort of scat, sing, babbled, whatever you call that singing, and did it, and I really liked it, and I'm glad you guys liked it. It really made my day because when I put it up there, I thought, what if everybody doesn't like it? What if they say it's bullshit? And anyway, it was cool. I'm glad you liked it. Because, like I said, it's the only thing I've ever recorded in my whole life that I can actually listen to and enjoy. And I listened to it yesterday again. Can't believe I did. And, God, there's times where I feel like it's a guitar, man. It's so cool. Keyboards are amazing. Don't you think keyboards are amazing? Imagine that. Back in the day, back in the 60s and the 70s, keyboards didn't sound like that. You couldn't make it. Now keyboards just have the greatest sounds. And somebody said in the comments that they have a little Casio keyboard and it sounds great. And that's what I was saying. You can buy any keyboard now and they sound great. And it's so cool. So if you ever wanted to play keyboards, just go buy something and play it. It's really fun. Yeah, I can't believe I'm still having so much fun playing after all these years. Like I just get so thrilled by the whole deal. It's like thrilling, man. It's thrilling. It's thrilling. And it's more thrilling than AI. Nothing's like playing music. I love it. Anyway. Okay. Oh, here we go with the questions and answers. This is turned into a question and answer channel, but it's kind of fun, huh? Okay. Are you all doing good out there? Is everybody doing great? Man, it's sunny. It was sunny yesterday. It's sunny today. It's like endless summer. Down here, all the surfers are out and the girls in their bikinis, and it just feels like Southern California. I know some people up north, hey, you guys up north, they have this little attitude about Southern California, but I'll tell you, it's a love thing, man. It's a love thing. Yeah. Or somebody will like live out in Glendale or fucking Whittier or someplace, and they'll say, I lived in LA, but that's not the LA that we know. The LA at the beach is a different place, man. The west side of LA is just like miraculous. Anyway, I love it here. Don't be down in LA. We're just people. You're just people. We're all the same, We really are all the same. I know you guys don't like to think that up there, but yeah, there's a sameness about all of us. We're some funny monkeys, man. Yeah. Okay, so this is a great first question. Somebody asked me if I could give business advice. Yeah, man. I'll tell you something right now. I would say the only advice I could give somebody is don't make quick decisions and follow your heart. But man, you can blow it big time. I've made so many mistakes in business, and I've had ideas that I thought were great, and I execute them, and they just poo-poo. They fall down. So you never know when you go down that like I say, entrepreneur. Yeah, do you like that word, entrepreneur? Anyway, entrepreneur. When you do entrepreneur, sometimes you get smells a little. Yeah. Like I've seen people I'm in the restaurant. I've been in the restaurant business for a long time, and I don't feel like a restaurateur, by the way. There's guys that are real restaurateurs, like Brett, one of our partners at Killer Shrimp. He's the real deal, man. He's the real deal, a real restaurant guy for 50 years, and he's the real deal. But anyway, I don't feel like a restaurateur. But what I was going to tell you is that I've seen guys open restaurants. They do everything right. They have a great location. They do fucking everything right. The food's great. The service is great. The restaurant's great. The location's great. The parking's great. And the restaurants fail. It's just the weirdest thing. So there's an element of luck whenever you're doing entrepreneur. There's an element of luck whenever you start a business or do something. No matter how well you plan it, you don't really know till you dive in there, and then you might get burned, and you could do everything right. You could do everything right, and it won't work. Like a restaurant, you could have the best restaurant in the world, but if the people don't come through the door, what are you doing? And so how do you get those people through the door? Because there's 2,500 restaurants here in LA and 1 million restaurants on the street, these trucks and stuff. And so how do you get people in the door, man? That's like a miracle. If somebody walks through the door, that's a fucking miracle. Oop, don't talk bad. Excuse me, forgive me, algorithm. Anyway, so that's my business advice. It's not for the faint of heart. If you're trying to be an entrepreneur, you're going to take a chance. You might lose everything, but that's what you do. You put it on the line and throw the dice, and sometimes you get lucky, and sometimes it's snake eyes, man. You're dead. So, somebody asked me, how did I get my masters back from A&M? They said you made 7 albums for A&M and 2 for Columbia, and then I got all my masters back from A&M. Well, there was this guy, Young MC, and he sampled a bunch of my stuff back in the earliest of the sampling days, the very early sampling days. And they didn't get my permission to sample it. The record company let him do it, but nobody got my permission. And he won a Grammy for that stuff, and his whole song that he won a Grammy for was just a loop of one of my riffs. And he won a Grammy for it, and they didn't even mention my name. I didn't get any credit. I didn't get any money. I got totally screwed. So we sued A&M Records, and then we were doing depositions. We're getting ready to go to court, and And we were in the elevator with their lawyers and my lawyers, and we were going down the elevator, and they said, "What can we do to settle this thing?" And I says, "Give me my albums back." I just blurted that out, and they says, "Oh, we'll think about it." And they got back to us and said, "Yeah, we'll give you your albums back," because they didn't want to go to court because we had a really good case because they really screwed me, and so they gave me all my albums back. That one of the few people in the history of the record business where the label actually gave them their albums back. Now, I don't know what that means. That means they didn't place much value on my albums. That's what I think it means. I mean, if they really, really, really thought that was valuable, they would have not given them back to me. But I think they thought, oh, fuck, just give him his album back. They don't mean anything anyway. But to me, they meant something. So they gave me my albums back, and that's how I got them back. And they gave my lawyers some money, and they gave me my albums. And now... I make money every year off owning my albums. That's really a good thing, you know. And I never made any money before. All the time I was on A&M, I made no money. And so when I got my albums back, all of a sudden I'm making money every year, and I'm thinking, fuck, finally I made some money. It was sort of like, it's like some kind of karmic event, you know. I got my albums back, and now I finally get some money after all these years. But it's not much. It's not even really enough to live on what I get back. But I got other stuff going on. That's a great story, huh? They didn't want to go to court, man. They didn't want to go to court, and we did the depositions, and they tried to trick me up in the depositions, asking questions, and we rehearsed ahead of time. You know, we knew what kind of tricks they were going to try to pull, and so I was on it, man. And they thought I was going to be some out of my mind musician that was brain dead. But when we got into the depositions, they went, "Whoa, this guy is not brain dead," you know. Anyway, there I was, man. I was fucking on it, and I was going bleep, bleep, bleep. Anyway, they screwed me, and so I got my albums back. Yay! One of the few people, I think one or two other people in the history of the music business that got their albums back. So that's a real miracle for me. And somebody asked me about the Atlanta Pop Festival, and what I remember about it. Well, I'll tell you what I remember about it. You know, pop festivals, you got to understand, there's all these bands and zillions of people, and it's just total chaos, and it's not really that much fun logistically. It isn't like you roll up and it's really cool. It's like everything is a hassle, you know, the whole thing. It's a hassle for the roadies. It's a hassle getting there. It's just a hassle. So we were staying at this hotel, and the hotel pool was full of hippies, like thousands of hippies in the pool, way more than was staying at the hotel. And the water was so dirty, it was black. And we were looking out the window and we go, how can those people be in the pool? And all the people are in the pool and the water's just black as shit. You know, it just looked like diarrhea or something. And the people are all in the pool. And that's what I remember about the Atlanta Pop Festival. There's all these stupid fucking people in the pool, and the water looked so dirty you couldn't even see your hand under the water. And they were all in there happy as a clam, just all in there. I guess they were high on acid or something. But if I was high on acid, I still wouldn't have gone in that water, man. I wouldn't have gone in the water. Oh, and I'll tell you another thing about the Atlanta Pop Festival. Like, I was always mad because my record company didn't support me really well. Like, I saw them giving Joe Cocker tons of support, you know, on his tour. And they were giving different artists tons of support, and they weren't giving me no support, you know. And that really always bothered me. It always hurt my feelings. Maybe I didn't deserve any support. Maybe that's why they didn't give it to me. But it still felt really bad because all the other artists are getting support and I'm not getting support, you know. I always felt really bad about that. Maybe I didn't deserve it. I don't know. But I still felt bad. And so here we are at Atlanta Pop Festival. And I get a call from the record label saying they're sending some guy from the record company out to be with us at the festival. And I thought, wait a minute, they never give me any support. Now some guy wants to come out here and hang out with us at the Atlanta Pop Festival. No fucking way. I'm not. So we told the guy, we don't want this guy out here. Let him go hang out with somebody else. You know, we're not going to babysit some guy from the record label. They were sending some guy out and he wanted to hang out and be cool. And, you know, fuck that guy, man. I wanted support from the label. I wasn't getting no support. And then they're going to send some guy out and we're supposed to babysit him? No way. So anyway, the guy arrived in Atlanta and he called our hotel, and I kept putting different people on the phone with him. I forget who was in our room, if it was Poco or Jojo Gun. We were all hanging out, and I would just hand different people the phone, and they would act like they were me, and they would talk to this guy for a few minutes, and then they'd tell him, oh, I'm not Lee, and then they would hand the phone to somebody else. So we just kept passing the guy around in the phone. And so finally he got me on the phone and go, dude, man, you're on your own. Don't come around us. Don't get near us. I don't care who you are. You know, if you're going to go to the festival, have fun, but don't think you're going to hang out with us, man. We're not going to babysit your ass. And I just hung up on him, and that was it. But I was always really pissed at A&M for not giving me support. And then they want to send some guy to hang out and be cool. Fuck that guy, man. He could hang out by himself. So I don't know what he did, because we never saw him. But we ran him around the block on the phone. We had the phone to this person, that person, and you know, just jacked him around. And you know, how dare they send some guy out to hang out with us? He's just coming out because he wants to go to the Atlanta Pop Festival. Had nothing to do with me, nothing to do with them supporting me. Anyway, I was really angry about that. But I wasn't bummed out, because I'm not that kind of guy. So I was just having fun with it. We were just fucking with the guy. And fuck him, man. That's what I say, you know. And you can imagine if I feel that way now, how I was then. I wasn't exactly the easiest person back then. And yeah, I wasn't going to take no shit from the record label that doesn't pay me any money, doesn't support me at all, doesn't pay me any money at all. And they want me to babysit some guy, and he wants to hang out with us like part of our crowd. Fuck no, man. Get out of here. Go back to LA. Anyway, that's how I felt. Anyway, isn't that funny? You asked me about Atlanta. I got a story about Atlanta. Somebody said they heard that when I played with Led Zeppelin at Kezar Stadium, and the Tubes opened that show, and then I was second on stage, and then came Zeppelin, and they said they heard that Bill Graham put me on that show. I wasn't on the original bill. I was added later. I have no idea how I was added, you know, because I had an agent, and they just tell me, you're opening for Zeppelin at Kezar Stadium. I said, great, and I went there and did it. But as far as the behind-the-scenes stuff, and was I on the original bill, or was I added later, I have no idea, man. I was just glad to play the gig, and I showed up and played the gig. That was a great gig, by the way. That was really fun. That was a fun gig. And we had a great time at that gig. Yeah. Zeppelin at Kezar. I really did like that gig. And that's funny how people know more backstories than I do about stuff. It's like somebody knows all about that concert. I had no idea. I just know, you know, because we're playing concerts all over the place. And so my agent says, you're opening for Zeppelin at Kezar Stadium. It isn't like Bill Graham called me up and added me. He talked to my agent, they booked me. There I was. So, yeah. So I don't know what the behind the scenes stuff was. Who knows? The barrel pictures were in my studio and also in my land. I had 3 acres of land up on Mount Tamalpais, and I had my house there, and we had this redwood forest with a stream going through it on our property, and a little waterfall. It was fucking cool. And so we were all out there taking pictures. And that forest there, that's the forest we used to play the BB gun war in. Remember I told you in the previous issues about BB gun war? Well, that was the forest we did it. We were in the redwood forest doing that. And so the backdrop here kind of reminds me of that. I don't know if that's why I like the backdrop. Now, I like the backdrop because it's cool. It's cool. This backdrop is cool. Yeah, it's really cool. Dylan was here last night. What did we do? What did we do, man? My brain's going. I can't even remember last night. I didn't even get high. Yeah. Oh, somebody asked me how I feel if I still am happy about not smoking weed. Well, you know, I smoked weed my whole life, and then I stopped recently, and I don't know that I miss it especially. Like Dylan was getting high last night, and I almost took a hit, but I went, nah. The last time I took a hit of doobie, my speech got messed up, and I think it had something to do with my mini stroke. And so I think it's time to quit. I'm 80, almost 80, and, you know, every dog has its day. I think my pot days are over. But I'll tell you what I really like about not smoking pot is dreaming. Oh, wow. I dream so much. I can't believe it. I think the dreams, they seem so real, my dreams. I go, whoa, it's real. And then I wake up and it's not a real dream. In my dream, man, I'm totally like, whatever it's about, it's so real. It's just killing my brain. Anyway, I love dreaming. So I don't miss pot, but I really am really enthusiastic about dreaming. It's just something's cool about it. Because, for a whole lifetime, I'm not dreaming that much because I was so loaded every second. And now all of a sudden I'm dreaming my ass off. And I thought, am I making up for a wasted time or what? What's going on? Is my psyche getting even with being repressed for all those years? I don't know. So, yeah, but I'm not down on pot by any means. I think it's good. And some people, it helps people. Yeah. But it can, it can be what it is. Okay. Oh, somebody asked me about the Southern rock genre, the Lynyrd Skynyrd type bands and all those kind of Southern bands, Well, I always recognized the quality of the music, but it wasn't the music I listened to because, like I say, I listened to Otis Redding and Aretha and Stevie Wonder and, some Motown stuff and Sam and Dave and, that's the kind of stuff I listened to. I was always attracted to that. From the time I was a small kid, like 9 years old or so, I started getting into R&B. And my first two records were a Fats Domino record and a Little Richard record. I got 245s, and I was thrilled, man, yeah. I took him up to the counter. My brother, I had an adopted brother who was like an adult. He was like 35, and I was a little kid. And I took him up to the counter, and he humiliated me in front of all the people in the record store. I remember I was like, 9 years old or something, and he'd tell me I was buying the N music, and he used the N word, and really scolded me for buying N music because he was like kind of like country music. But I remember he really made a spectacle out of that. But I hung tough, man. I go, no, these are the records I want. He's telling me, you're not going to buy that in music. And I go, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want. These guys are keyboard players. Fats Domino was a keyboard player. Little Richard was a keyboard player. I wanted their music. I was the keyboard player. So anyway, I hung tough. I took the humiliation, but I got my records. But he wouldn't let me play him whenever he was around. So I had to play him when he wasn't around because he was a racist weirdo. Anyway, yeah. So I always liked the Southern rock, but it was not what I listened to, And it wasn't because I didn't recognize the quality of it, because you could hear those guys were kicking ass, but it just, how certain records you can hear them, you hear they're good, but they aren't the records you put on every day. You have your favorite stuff that you put on that kind of moves you, and yeah, that's how it was. So I never really got into it. I was talking to a friend the other day about Lynyrd Skynyrd. When I tell you my amazing story that I'm going to tell you at 1,000, when I have 1,000 subscribers, there's a Lynyrd Skynyrd story in there that's going to be funny. It's going to be really funny, but I won't tell you now. Okay. Somebody asked me if I had any Neil Young stories. I was never close with Neil, but we had a few encounters. He came up to my house one time in Mill Valley with Johnny Barbada, and they were on their way to something, and they stopped by and hung out a while. And then Neil was also a customer of Prune Music, the store we owned, and he would bring stuff there to get repaired. And finally, he just hired the guitar repairman there, and Larry Craig. And Larry's been on the road for years with Neil, and he's just like, he played the grandpa in the movie Greendale. So Larry came from Prune Music, and he started working with Neil, and Randy used to go up to Neil's and work on amps, But, yeah, that was cool. Bob Dylan used to send trucks from L.A. with his guitars all the way up north to Prune to have Larry work on them. So he was sort of a renowned guitar tech, and he's really gifted at that. And hi, Larry, if you're watching. Um, Oh, killer shrimp is not a plate of killer shrimp. Killer shrimp comes in a bowl and it has all this sauce in the bowl, and you have a cauldron full of French bread sliced, and you dunk the bread in the sauce and you sop it up, and that's part of the killer shrimp experience. The original killer shrimp was just a bowl with this solid shrimp and all this amazing flavorful luxurious sauce, and this bread you just dunk in the sauce. It was really a real soulful dish. In fact, at this day, 50% of our business people is ordering killer shrimp. We have all other items on the menu, but 50% of our business is killer shrimp. We're the weirdest restaurant in the world. Somebody asked me if I ever used the Mellotron. Nope, didn't do it. I knew what they were, but I never used the Mellotron. Yeah. Oh, Johnny Barbada's birthday was the other day. Somebody said that. Hi, Johnny, wherever you are. I hope you're in heaven. John died a year or two ago, or 3 or 4. I don't know. Time flies. But yeah, I was in their high school band, man. I joined the Sentinels. Johnny was in that band. Out of that whole band, him and I became lifelong friends, man. He played on my second album, and Johnny's just the real character, man. And we always hit it off. I remember he came here and stayed with me here in Venice, and we had a good time, and he was, Johnny was a good guy, man. I didn't like when he died. Yeah. Somebody asked me if I ever saw the Mad Dog tour, Mad Dog's an Englishman with Joe Cocker. I never saw that tour. I was busy playing, they were busy playing, they were out doing their thing. I remember A&M rented them an airplane. Man. We were riding in the back of the truck with the equipment. That's how we were struggling, I remember we were really struggling, and A&M wasn't giving me any support. Literally, Frosty and I rode in the back of the truck with the equipment, man. It was just so brutal. We were so broke. And A&M's promoting Mad Dogs and Englishmen, as they should. I mean, that was a great thing, and Cocker was great, and he deserved it. But I deserved something, but I didn't get any support at all from A&M. So we were like struggling. I remember we ran into those guys from the Mad Dog tour. We were in New York and they were in New York, and they just flied in on the plane that A&M had rented for them. And we had just rode in the truck with the amps. That's how poor we were. And we saw them at some restaurant, and we were all hanging out talking. So those guys, we ran into a bunch of those guys from the Mad Dog tour, but I never saw one of their concerts because we were doing our thing and they were doing their thing. But I remember I really thought a lot about that, man, because it was cold in the back of that truck and at times, and we were riding with the amps, and we had like cots in the back of the truck, and it was really, we were struggling, man. We were struggling, and we were getting no support from A&M, none, man, zero. That was so wrong. So they sent some guy to Atlanta then to hang out with us. Fuck them, man. Anyway, that was funny. I never played the Harley Bar in Cotati. I don't know if where that is or that bar or anything about it. I never played there, but I do have a Cotati story. Isn't it funny? Every time you ask me a question, I have a story. There used to be an abandoned airport at Cotati. It was all grass growing up out of the concrete and stuff. But people would take cars there to test the cars, the race cars. They would take them out to Cotati to test them because you could just drive under this concrete, unload your car, and drive around. And it wasn't a racetrack or anything, but it was a runway at the airport, and you could just drive and test your car out. And so when I bought a Formula Ford, I took it there, and we tested it at Cotati. And it was fun, A little bit of a drive from Mill Valley, but we went over there to test at Cotati, and that's my Cotati story. I'm a California guy, man. I have a lot. You mentioned a town in California. I probably have a story to go along with it. Yeah. But I never played the Harley Bar in Cotati. Somebody keeps asking me about the 69 something album LP. Man, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. I have no idea. There was no 69 metally LP. It just didn't exist, man. It's you must be thinking of a different artist or something, or because I know exactly what my albums were. I had every one of my albums. There was no album like that. But this is the second time you asked me that question, and it's the second time I said I have no idea what you're talking about. Anyway, but that's cool. Sometimes I remember stuff not exactly right. But I do remember my albums. I may not remember every song on every album, but I remember the albums, Anyway, I'm not that brain dead. Somebody asked me, how did I get a deal with Columbia? Well, my A&M contract was expiring, and here I've been on A&M all that time, and my contract was I had like another album and another 2 albums due, and so they were trying to renegotiate with me because I had a hit. Do you know what I mean? So they were trying to renegotiate with me, and so I said, well, if you'll just give me what other people give me, I would stay at A&M because I loved A&M, even though they never gave me any money and were not fair to me. I felt like an A&M artist. That was my home. I'd rehearse there in their sound stages. It was the old Charlie Chaplin movie studio, and I just felt really connected to it. Took acid there many times, and I lived on hot chocolate there. I was so poor, and they had hot chocolate for free down in the little room, the coffee room. So I would go in there and get hot chocolate, and I lived on hot chocolate for fucking months there. I would go eat 3 or 4 of those for breakfast, and then for lunch I would do the same thing. I just literally I just lived on hot chocolate because I was so broke. And so how did I get the deal with Columbia? So my A&M album is almost my A&M deal's almost over, and they want to renegotiate with me. They're trying to re-sign me to a longer deal, and so I got this lawyer, and who turned out to be just a lifelong friend of mine, Brian Rohan. He died a few years ago, but Brian and I were really close over the years. He even managed me for a while, which was really funny. But he was a lawyer from San Francisco that represented some bands, and he was just a character, man, a real wild man. And so he went and checked the other labels. So Warner Brothers offered me $1 million, and Columbia offered me $1 million. And so we went to A&M. He says, "Look at these other labels that will give me $1 million to sign. So if you give me $1 million, I want to stay here." And they said, "No, we're not going to give you $1 million." And so, come on, man. I really want to be on A&M, and this is what I'm worth because these other labels will pay me this much. So why don't, I don't get it, And so then Jay Mawson was, "Remember the time we helped your drummer when he stabbed his girlfriend?" Not Frosty, but I had this one drummer who stabbed his girlfriend with a pencil a bunch of times, and they got him out of jail for me. So he started reminding me of these times they helped me, and I go, yeah, I remember all that, but remember you guys never supported any of my tours, and I never have made any money the whole time I've been here, and now I have a big hit, and I'm still not making any money. So, and I'm not asking you for anything special. I'm asking you to give me what the other labels are giving me. And so they said, nah. And so I had a European tour. We were going on this tour to Europe. So I left. So the day before I went to, the day before we left on the tour to Europe, I signed a deal with Columbia because A&M wasn't signing me a deal, and so I signed a deal with Columbia. I should have signed with Warner Brothers. I remember Mo Austin told me, he says, "Whatever you do, don't sign with Columbia," because he knew it wasn't the right place for me. But Brian Rohan told me he thought I should sign with Columbia, so I signed with Columbia on Brian's advice, and that was a big mistake, let me tell you. Yeah, that was a big mistake. So I went with Clive Davis. He was at Columbia, running Columbia at the time, and right after I signed with Columbia, Clive got fired from Columbia, and he went and started Arista Records. And so here, my biggest advocate at Columbia was no longer there. So I go to New York and I go to Columbia Records and I can't even get in the building, man. They won't even let me in the building, man. I go, wait a minute, I'm an artist in Columbia. You guys just gave me $1 million. Can I go in Columbia Records? No, they wouldn't even let me in the building. That was the weirdest thing, and I thought, oh, I really made a big mistake signing with Columbia. I can't even get in the door. At A&M, I could walk around anywhere, go in people's offices, talk to people, do whatever. At Columbia, I couldn't even get in the fucking door, man. I swear to God, I went to Columbia Records thinking, I'll go over to Columbia Records because we were in New York playing some gigs, and they just gave me $1 million, and I thought, okay. And I go there, and they won't even let me in the building, man. They won't even let me in the building. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. And I really knew at that point I'd really fucked up. If I would have gone to Warner Brothers, at least I could have gotten the building in Warner Brothers. They were nicer. But I believe I shouldn't have listened to Brian, man. He steered me wrong that time. And the Columbia deal was a fiasco because Clive was gone and I had no advocate there. You can get a record deal. It's like getting your foot in the door, Like people think, oh, I got a record deal. Man, no. Getting a record deal is like getting your foot in the door. You just barely got your foot in the door. You got a record deal. Well, at Columbia, I couldn't even get my foot in the door, man. They shut the door right on me. And so I was kind of screwed out of the box. So we wound up having a big hassle with Columbia, and they broke the deal, and I was able to walk, and they gave me another $500,000, and I was able to walk from that deal. But they had no interest in helping me either. So my whole record career, man, nobody wanted to help me. It was just really, maybe I didn't deserve help. I don't know. But it felt really bad, It felt bad. But that's how I got to deal with Columbia. And that's how I got to deal with Columbia. And then finally I went to Columbia one time. Brian arranged it, and we went there, and we went into some big room where they had all these people meeting and stuff. And I was looking around, I says, Brian, this is fucked up. I'm leaving here, man. This is bullshit, They just had no interest in me at all, man. I couldn't believe they signed me. But you got to understand, at those times, they were signing hundreds of acts. Like Columbia had like 300 artists, and they're promoting like 5 of them, and maybe 10 of them a little bit, but only 5 of them a whole lot. So it was like I was just lost in the shuffle, man. I didn't mean anything at Columbia. I should have stayed. Oh, and here's another thing. When I went to the European tour with A&M. The first day of the tour, A&M called up and says, okay, we'll give you the $1 million. And we had to tell them, no, sorry, we signed yesterday with Columbia. And that kind of broke my heart. I thought, oh, fuck, why didn't they tell me? I would have signed with them. And I signed with Columbia because A&M wouldn't give me the money. And then the day after I signed, they capitulated and said they were going to give me the money, but they didn't. So that really had a lot to do with my disillusionment, man. After that, I was sort of done, I sort of cooked my goose. But those big labels, you got to understand. Imagine if you sign with a label and they have 200 or 300 acts. Those big labels, Columbia and Warner's, they had like hundreds of acts. And they're only promoting like 5 or 10 acts at any given time. And only 3 of them are they heavily promoting. And maybe 5 a little more they're promoting. And another 5 they're sort of promoting. But the 180 others, they're not doing anything for, So that was my scene at Columbia, man. I was just lost in the cracks. And my advocate, who was Clive Davis, he was gone. So he was gone, and what did I do then, The guy that signed me, the guy that believed in me, or I thought he believed in me, he was gone. Started Arista Records. I was there by myself. Anyway, yeah, that's the story of that. So that's how I wound up with Columbia. And all I wanted to do was be an A&M artist. They should have just told me, man. They should have said, yeah, we'll give you the $1 million. And anyway, yeah. Somebody asked me if I watched my old TV shows ever. Nah, I never watched those. I know they're on YouTube. People tell me they're on YouTube. I'm going to go back and watch myself. I just I don't know, man. I just don't do that. I don't know. It isn't because I don't want to watch myself. It's just because I have other things going on. My brain's going That's the last thing I want to do is sit and watch me singing 50 years ago. Anyway, yeah, I don't do that. Okay. Owsley. Oh, somebody asked me about the whole hippie Haight-Ashbury scene in San Francisco. Like, even though I lived up there during that era, I wasn't part of the hate, you know. I lived over in Marin County, and for a while I lived in San Francisco when we were first starting out. We had this house on Divisadero Street, and Moby Grape was living there, and there was a whole bunch of us living in this one house, you know. But I wasn't part of the Haight-Ashbury scene, you know. There was an actual scene in the Haight, and I didn't live in the Haight, so I wasn't part of the scene. And then somebody asked me if I ever met Timothy Leary. No, I never met him, you know. Naturally, I thought he was cool, but I never met him. Or Ken Kesey, I never met him, you know. I just wasn't I wasn't in their circle of influence or whatever. But Owsley, man, I have a couple of Owsley stories. I've told one of the Owsley stories before, but I'll tell it again. But here's a Ozzy story I haven't told. One time we were playing there, and we were having trouble with our amps on stage. So Owsley, thinking he's some kind of scientist, he comes and goes, I'll help you. And he did something, and he blew up all my amps. I had a whole row of amps, and he blew every fucking amp up. Somehow he plugs shit in weird. He did something, because we were having a technical problem, and he was going to help us. And he blew up my whole fucking amps, all my amps. And he almost blew my organ up. I don't know what he did, but it sent a big power surge through all the shit and just fried all my amps, man. It was devastating to me. I was really broke and honestly burnt all my shit to the ground, man. But another time he came in, I was playing at the Avalon, and he came in and he was with Jack Cassidy, and they came up to me and he told me, he says, I have the perfect hit of acid to play on. You take this as the perfect hit. And so I took this hit of acid that he said was of Owsley's acid. Owsley said it was a perfect hit. And I took and man, I was just so loaded. I was in the fetal position on the floor in the corner. And so Chet Helms took me up on stage. And this is when I had a band and I was just a stand-up singer. And Chet took me up on stage to play my set. And I just stood there in front of the audience and cried, man. I was so high, you know, I couldn't sing, I couldn't do anything. I just stand there and cried. So Chet came back on the stage, put his arm around, told everybody, Lee'll be back later. He's a little too high now to play. And he led me off the stage. And then I went back in the dressing room and I was in the fetal position. Now, I just signed a deal with A&M before that. I just was a new artist on A&M. I signed a deal. So Herb Alpert had come up to the Avalon to see me because they wanted to see what they signed, you know. And he came up there to see me, and he had this girl with him, and she was, looked very Hollywood. And he had a hat on. He was trying to be incognito, but he had this girl with him that was she was definitely out of place in that environment. He wasn't incognito at all. But he comes into the dressing room, and I'm in the floor in the fetal position crying. And he comes and goes, that was amazing. I'm looking up at him, and I'm thinking, oh, no, my life's over, man. Here I am. I'm just totally almost catatonic. And here's the guy that just signed me. And I just walked up on stage and made a fool of myself. And he saw me. And I'm thinking, oh, I really blew it now, you know. And I'm so high, I can't even put that together in my head. But somehow I'm feeling I'm really blowing it. And then he's telling me, he said, I've never seen anything like that. You got a standing ovation and you didn't play a note. And I'm thinking to myself, standing ovation, what is he talking about? Because I was aware, I guess the audience stood up and clapped because I was so high and Chet left me off the stage. But it wasn't a standing ovation for playing good or doing a great show. It was a standing ovation for being so high that all I could do was cry. So I was standing there in front of the audience just crying. So anyway, I went back and did it. So Herb Alpert left. I don't know where he went after that. But like an hour or so later, I was not quite as high. And so I says, well, I'll just go up and play the organ with the drummer. And so I went up and played the organ because I had an organ player in my band because my organ had got repossessed. So I went up and I says, can I play your organ? He goes, sure. And I went and played the organ with the drummer, him and me. And then after that, I got rid of the band and I just played organ and drums from that moment on because I realized at that instant that's what I had to do. I had to play organ and drums, because I was so high, and had been crying an hour earlier, and I was still really high. I mean, you don't come down in a few minutes. So I was high as I've ever been, and so I just played, and I just played. I was out of my mind high, and I just played, and the drums. I don't even know what it sounded like. To this day, I have no idea, but I guess it was okay. And then after that, I put my super organ together and all my amps and did all that. But Ozzy, when Ozzy blew my shit up was after that. He blew my shit up after that concert where I was all high and where Herb showed up. So later, when I had my first big organ set up, he blew it up. And then many years after that, I ran into Owsley in a garage, a car garage, and he was in there working on a sports car. I think he had an MGTF or something, and there was a Lotus in there that was in parts, and I traded a go-kart and some money for this Lotus that was in parts, and then I brought it home to my house, and I never finished it. I wound up selling the parts, But yeah, that's my Owsley stories. That's my Owsley acid stories, man. Owsley got me, man. He got me the one time he blew my amps up, and the other time he got me so high I couldn't play. I thought after that night, that A&M would cancel my contract or something because I was such a fuck up, But they didn't. They hung with me, but they didn't promote me. So anyway. One of the guys that worked at A&M, after he quit, he told me how unfair he thought it was. They were always so unfair to me, and he said, "You had your success in spite of A&M, like because I went on to, whatever success I had was not because of A&M to help me, because they didn't give me any support at all. I just did it by playing live and trying so hard, So that's my story of Owsley. And I didn't know Timothy Leary. I'm looking at the question. Foot size. So many funny questions. Now, some of you guys have amazing questions. You have amazing questions. Somebody asked me about my foot size and if it I've told you before, I was the worst athlete in the world, man. Nobody was a worse athlete than me, and nobody tried harder than me. I tried so hard to be a good athlete, and that was a really good lesson for me. I learned you can't be what you can't be. Like, I could play music easily, but I couldn't play sports no matter how hard I tried. Those guys, when they run so fucked up that you have to laugh when they run because you look at them running, they just run. They're just fucked up. That was me, man. I was one of those guys. When I run, it was a joke, And so somebody asked me about if my foot size affected my running. No, I think I was just destined to not be athletic on any level. Anyway, I was the world's worst athlete. But my foot size, back in the day when I played and I was playing barefoot with Nori, my size was 11. But then later, when I was in my 50 or something, 40, 50, my size was 12. But now my size is 13. I don't know if your feet just keep growing and growing as you get older, but I wear a size 13 now, but I used to wear a size 11 back in the day. So 11's not that big. So somebody said my feet look big in my organ, And guitar, somebody says you still haven't learned to play guitar after 50 years. Yeah, dude, I'm not a natural guitar player either. I try. I have a guitar and I play it, but on a scale of 1 to 10, I may be a 2 or a 3. But I am musical, so there's a musical element to what I do. But I'm not what you'd call a good guitar player. I don't know the name of chords and. See, guitar players, they learn all that shit, and I never learned any of that stuff, so I sort of just plunk around on it, and, I have fun, I enjoy doing it, but I don't consider myself a guitar player, I don't even consider myself an average guitar player, but I like what I do, and I have fun doing it, and that carbon fiber guitar I have, it's a nylon string guitar also, so I like nylon strings because if you don't play guitar every day, your fingers really hurt when you play. But if you have a nylon string guitar, You'd have to play every day. So that's what but I'm still not a good guitar player. But my piano, my keyboard guitar, I'm a good keyboard guitar player, I have to admit. You'll have to all admit too, man, that song, that's a pretty good guitar sound. That's a pretty good guitar sound if I have to say so myself. And I play it like a guitar. I was thinking like a guitar the whole time, like a picking and strumming and yeah. Here's the last question we have. The last question. Somebody asked me, how do I get paid for supermarkets when they play the songs in the supermarkets? Do I get money? And my answer is, I don't have a clue. No, but I know what we do in the restaurant. We pay a fee every year to ASCAP and a fee to BMI. And those fees allow you to play any of the music on ASCAP and BMI. You can play all those songs as much as you want, and you pay this one fee. It's I don't know what it is anymore. I haven't paid it, in 20 years. My son runs the business, so yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. But you pay a fee, and then you can play the songs. But how do I get paid, and think about that. You pay a little fee, and then you have access to this vast sea of songs. So how do the artists get paid out of that vast sea? I think it's impossible to even calculate because you're not keeping track of what songs you're playing because you just paid a fee, and then you can play whatever you want. So I don't think, I don't know how the ASCAP or BMI calculates that, but I don't think it amounts to much. I don't think you don't get really anything for that. You're just part of this big giant pool of songs that, I don't think you get anything. So, are you guys running out of questions yet? It's funny how all the questions remind me of an old story or something. I kind of like that. I think you guys got to be getting tired of all these stories, but a lot of these stories I haven't thought of in years, like Owsley blowing up my amps. I thought of that last night. I thought, because the other day I talked about Owsley and then I forgot all about him blowing my amps up. And then I remembered last night, I remember he blew my amps up. Anyway, Owsley was a character. He was a good guy, I guess. I didn't know him really well, but I had, ran into him. Yeah, I sort of knew him, but I didn't know him, like, really know him, You know how you kind of know people? Yeah. Anyway, that's my Owsley stories. Yeah. I guess we're done here, man. I don't know. I could keep talking, but I've told enough stories for one day. Yeah. It's so much fun, man. I'm having so much fun. God, that girl. I know I keep bringing up that AI girl. She's so diverse. She posted a video the other day. It's just sort of like interiors of a building. It was very peaceful looking. And it was so different she's so diverse. Like everybody else, they kind of stick to one thing and that's their look. And you can see their AI art looks this way. But every day she's doing something different. She's so experimental. She's just really a creative force. And she's so generous because she always tells what she uses, the program she uses. I was looking at the program Pico, which is the program you use to animate. Like you create the AI picture with one program, and then you use another program to animate it. Anyway, that's what that Kelly girl does, so I assume that's what you do. I think you can do it all in one, but she uses like Mid-Journey to create the stuff, and then she uses Pika to animate it. Sometimes she uses other stuff, but that's her main things, it seems like, is Mid-Journey and Pika. But I was reading Pika, their whole page about their thing, and the more I read, and it seemed so complex, I thought, no, man, that stuff is way above me, because I was going to get Mid-Journey and Pika. I have my collaborator in France, and she's got that stuff, and she's doing it. Hi, Phinia. She's doing it, but I'm not doing it. She's doing it. We talk about it and collaborate, but she actually is the one who has the technical skill to do it. But I think it's beyond me. I was reading about it, and the more I read, and the more I read, and the more I read, I went, oh wow, I think this is beyond me. It's beyond me. Anyway, yeah. I don't know exactly how AI is going to manifest in my life. See, my interest in AI is making movies. I want to make movies. I want to have these characters that we've created in the virtual world, and we have a movie that we want to do. So we want to create those characters in that movie using AI. So I don't think I found the right exact program to do that yet, but we're getting closer. We're getting closer. It's really complicated, and everything changes really fast. Every week there's a new company comes out, and it's changing fast, man, changing fast. I bought one that I thought was Midjourney. Man, it's so weird. You go in the App Store, and they can trick you that you think you're buying the right one, but you get the wrong one. So I bought the wrong one, so Dylan helped me cancel it last night. And they make it really easy to sign up, but they make it hard to cancel, man. You got to jump through. You got to really figure it out. But he figured it out instantly, and I was able to cancel the one I got yesterday. But then after I canceled, like I say, I was reading Pika and stuff, and I think, man, I think this is beyond me. That's too bad, too. But I wanna make movies with AI, so somehow I'm going to do it. I'll need help naturally, but I'm going to do it. And there's another movie that Dylan and I want to make. It's a concept I've had for like 40 years. And we're going to make a slasher movie, and it's called Drum Beating. And it's about the drummers and the cymbals. I got a theory. The reason drummers are all crazy is because of the cymbals. The cymbals make this noise, and it vibrates in their head, and it scrambles their DNA, and they go nuts. And that's why so many drummers, a lot of drummers are crazy. And I think it's the cymbals, I think the cymbals do it. And so this movie's Drum Beating. It's about drummers who go crazy and start killing people with their drumsticks. Drum beating. They beat people to death with their drumsticks. And so it's like kind of a slasher movie, which I know slasher movies are not good. Actually, Dylan turned me on to slasher movies because he knows about them. And then I went, oh, well, I have an idea that would be perfect for a slasher movie. And I told him about drum beating, so we were all enthusiastic about it. So last night, one of the last things we talked about before he left was drum beating. We got to put drum beating together and make it happen, because that's going to be really a great movie. So I'm really enthusiastic about everything, and I'm playing music every day. I'm so glad you guys are here. It's so cool to have this little community of people that ask questions, and I was wondering though what I like about it. Do I like the agreement? Like I'm getting all these positive responses. That's like a little pat on the back, and I think so. I have to check myself, thinking, what am I being? Is that pathetic? Is it pathetic? But in a way, it is. Like why do I feel I need that agreement, and I want agreement like that? Is so weird. It really gets down to agreement. I'm getting a lot of agreement from doing the podcast, and I'm thinking, I find it, sometimes I feel a little guilty about it. I think, well, what am I really up to here? Because, the podcast is not particularly creative. It's just me running my mouth, and I've got all these creative things I'm doing. And so it's sort of a distraction, the podcast, but I'm really enjoying it, and I really, really like it. And I really like all you people chiming in, and like I would say, I was out talking to Randy out at the Mesa Big event. He said, yeah, man, he was so surprised, because that's what he likes about his podcast too, is the comments, and I wasn't going to even read the comments when I started doing a podcast. I thought, fuck the comments, because my friend Bitten always used to tell me, what people are saying about you is none of your business. Because somebody would say something like, well, why did they say that? And she'd tell me, what people are saying about you is none of your business. And so, she had a few sayings that worked for her, but they didn't work for the universe. But anyway, I question myself sometimes about it, what is it I like about the podcast? And I know it's the comments. That's what I like. And I like everybody's positive input. And yeah, so is that pathetic or what? I don't know. Doesn't feel particularly creative doing the podcast. Like it's a lot of time and not a lot of creativity, but I've got it down to it's only the time I'm in the podcast I'm doing it. So it isn't like consuming my life. I know I read about other people's podcasts and they have 15 people behind the scenes helping them promoting their podcast. That's probably why their podcasts do so well. Oh. Somebody said I should be on Rick Beato's show. And I've watched his show a couple of times, and he's got like 5 million subscribers, you know. If I wanted his show, that would really help me. But I don't know that guy. I don't know how to get on his show. And I don't know if he'd even want me in his show. You know, he interviews all kinds of guys like Sting. But I really like the Police's music, by the way, back in the day. Anyway, he really... he's got a huge following, you know, and I know it probably helped my podcast if I went on his show, but I don't know how to go on his show. I guess you guys could send him a message or something asking him to, you could comment on his website, ask him to have me on his show or something. That would be cool. But he might not even be interested. For all I know, he might have no idea who I even am, you know. Yeah, who knows? But his podcast is huge, man. I'm impressed by how huge his podcast is. He's got like 5 million subs or something. That's a lot, man. I don't even have 1,000. Anyway, I'm doing this because I like it and because I like you guys. Yeah, I actually like all your comments and I like all you. Yeah, but I'm one of those guys. I like shit. You know, that's my underwriting thing in life. Big kitty, come here. The big kitty, I see him walking around all day today, but he's not coming here. He was very affectionate this morning, by the way. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. It's like I need a Freudian couch. I need to lay down to talk about my shit about what is it about my podcast I like. You know, why do I feel I need agreement? You know, why am I sopping up this agreement like killer? It's like sopping up killer shrimp and eating it, man. I'm sopping up all the comments and I like the comments, you know. There's something, you know, why am I so needy like that? I don't know. You know, other people have podcasts that they aren't so needy, you know, but I guess I need it. I don't know I don't know. I don't know, man, but I like it. I like you guys. So anyway, I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow. What a head trip today was. Today was a head trip, man. It's so funny. It's so funny. Questions just trigger shit and I start talking. And I think, what am I going to talk about today? And then I read the comments and I go, fuck, I remember this. I remember that. It's just crazy. Anyway, have fun out there, everybody. I hope you all have a great time. I hope I answered your questions to your satisfaction. I'm out of here. 3, 2, 1. Bye. Poof.